For those that don't know, which most of you probably do, Ken Ham is the CEO of Answers in Genesis. He runs the Creation Museum. He is a village idiot.
Now let's get to your talk today. It's one that I'm really interested in because of, like I had said before, I had followed it, pretty closely on both your blog and Twitter and everything like that. I think I even got banned by Ken Ham at some point.
I did.
Yeah. But now, what is your talk about today in general?
It's called "Sinking the Art: Secular Activism in Action," and it's a talk about the underlying theme, or I use the Ken Ham story. Because it's fun, it's funny, it's kind of fun to just poke fun at him a little bit, to highlight that everybody can do something. You don't have to be a millionaire, you don't have to be an organization to make change. Everyone can be active in the community, everyone should be active, and if you see something that you think is wrong, act on it. Don't sit at your computer and think, I wish someone would do something about that. You can be a keyboard warrior. I mean, I sent one tweet to Ken Ham over a year ago, and it snowballed into him losing $18 million. Like that, and it's not like I did anything special. I just got active and stayed on it, and then I called in the right people to help. And so my talk gives that story. So that's the fun part of it, is how it happened. But the real theme is everybody can make a difference, and that's from your small town of 20 people giving a secular invocation at their city council meeting or town hall meeting, to you taking on your state government, to you taking on the federal government, to you taking on big corporations like Hobby Lobby, anything. Like, just if you see a wrong, act on it. Don't let it go and wait for somebody else. And you can make a difference. And, I didn't take down Ken Ham alone. It's not like I went out there and did it all myself. I have so many people that end up getting involved. Some not even involved with me. Some got involved on their own. And all that combined led us to where we are.
Right.
And it worked. And if I would have kept my mouth shut, would somebody else have picked up and gone on with what I did? Maybe, or maybe not. And I wouldn't want to live in a world where that maybe not happen.
Right. Yeah, I think, and I don't want to reveal too much of your speech, but I think I remember in one of your very early blog posts how, you had mentioned something about Ken Ham in a previous blog post, and then somebody actually went the extra mile and tried to apply at the Ark Encounter, and they kind of worked with you with the responses and everything like that.
Some guy that actually had the qualifications for the job they were posting applied, and he sent the application, and they sent it back saying, "Great, you look fantastic. You need to sign all these papers." And they were all statements of faith. I believe in creationism, and he just every email they sent him, he screenshotted and sent to me, and I was able to show that they're doing what they're saying they're not. Because at the same time he was doing that, Ken Ham was telling me on the radio, "We're not hiring." And I'm like, I have emails. I have your job posting on your website screenshot. Don't tell me you're not hiring. Well, that's for the Creation Museum. Except it says CAD designer, Ark Encounter.
Yeah.
Which is a gray area. I talked to some lawyers about it, and hiring for the Ark Encounter as Answers in Genesis was a bit of a gray area there, where it would probably lose in court, but it would be hard to get them into court for it. So it was a little back and forth on how much legality was there. What fell apart was that they were taking donations through Answers in Genesis, and you can click donate to the Ark Encounter, which a nonprofit cannot take funds for a for-profit business.
Right.
And we've kind of lobbied towards the IRS on that. That hasn't really gone anywhere. That's probably a smaller fish to fry overall, because those people would probably just go to the website anyways and donate. If they saw that and couldn't, they would click on the website and just go to the Ark Encounter and donate. And people can donate their money whatever they want, whatever. I don't think the Ark should be built, but it's not my job to stop that.
Right.
It's my job. I feel like it might be my job to lobby against people going. Tell people not to bring their kids. It's damaging. It's a genocidal theme park. But as long as taxpayer money is not being used, waste your money all you want, or enjoy bankruptcy, I guess. And enjoy having a half-built park, but you still don't have the $10 million you need to finish it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I went after him with that and made some accomplishments there.
Yeah. How do you feel about people really like focusing on how he could be using the money to better the area around him rather than building a theme park? Do you think those are legitimate?
Yes and no. There's always that argument to be made. So anywhere you get money. So you okay, now there's a spider crawling on you. I will just get it for you. Got him. Alright, let's...
Why are spiders attracted to me?
I
think it's because I'm in a corner.
Where was I? Spiders crawling?
Using
the money, yes.
Yeah.
So, let's say I donate $10,000 to clean a park near my house. Why don't you use that money to feed the homeless? There's always argument to be made that money could be used elsewhere. So it's a tough argument just because he is asking for it for specific reasons, saying I want to build a park. But he's not practicing what he preaches. That's the problem there, I think. He wants Christians to do X, Y, and Z and take the Bible literal, but he's taking in $28 million to build a theme park. I mean, help people, but he thinks he is.
Right.
So you have a hard... if he really believes he's helping people, then he can justify using that money for that, which he does. That's his argument is that he's actually helping. He believes, this is the messed up part, that building the ark is helping more people than feeding the homeless. Because he thinks that proselytizing the people who bring them to heaven is more important. And if that is a sincere belief, which may or may not be, if that's a sincere belief, then he has an argument that he's using the money for good. I doubt it's that sincere. He wants the money, he wants to build a stupid park, try to prove secular is wrong, and he wants the hopes that it's going to make him really rich. But, so it becomes a gray area just because there's different factors that can be kind of tossed in there. Not an argument I care to make. I care more about don't use taxpayer money to do it.
Right. Yeah, I guess I'm of the same opinion as you on that because, while I think that they're valid criticisms, I think that, there are better, there are better arguments to be made against it.
Right.
Because, you could also look at it as he's stimulating local economy by having it being built. I don't know who's using to build the actual park, but I know that's having at least some effect on the community.
Yeah, well, the whole thing came about was that they were saying we are going to generate tax revenue, so give us a tax rebate like you do other attractions here. But they violate federal and state laws, so they became ineligible. But if they were a legit theme park, not proselytizing, not discriminating, then and if they were bringing in money, they would get a rebate.
Right.
The official report says they're not going to bring in any money.
Oh yeah.
It says they're going to bring in 325,000 people the first year, and that's going to go down after that. That's a generous estimate.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a lot of people. That's not a lot of money. That's Creation Museum money, and that's in the red. Right. So the parks are already pretty much starting off in the negative. And Ham argues that that's a lie. He says that they're going to bring in 2 million people because he has his own report that he had done by a good friend of his, a co-author of his book. The co-author of 2 of his books now. That says it's going to bring 2 million people in. He doesn't see the conflict of interest. Yeah. You can't have your friends write up your reports that say how many people you're going to have come to your park. Especially when your friends are like gung-ho about it as you are.
Right.
So the state, when they were still giving them the tax money, when they're still, and approved them, had an independent audit done. And that independent audit is much, much different. And they have nothing to gain or lose from lying about it.
Right.
So I'm going to stick with those numbers.
Yeah, I know that after he had the $18 million tax incentive stripped from him, he was trying to go back to court to reclaim it.
Which he did. Yep. And it's in court now. The sides have been heard, and we're waiting on the judge's ruling at this point. Whatever happens, it's going to go to appeal anyway, so it's going to be a long, drawn-out process for a while, I think.
Yeah.
I'd like to see this go to the Supreme Court. I think that'd be really cool to have a final ruling on tax money and religious organizations like this, because he's trying to form an LLC, not a nonprofit, with the Ark Encounter, and then trying to say, but we still get to use all of the religious rules we want because we're religious.
Right.
And that's, you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Right.
You can't be both. You cannot be a for-profit in a secular government and demand all the rights you have as your nonprofit.
Right.
Form a nonprofit. Make the park a nonprofit if you can. I don't know if you can make theme parks nonprofits. But then don't ask for tax money. You're not going to pay taxes as a nonprofit, which I think would be their area where you can't really, every theme park would be a nonprofit all of a sudden. I'm sure Disneyland would love to never pay a tax dollar. The Church of Mickey would pop up in no time.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, he's trying to cheat the system, and he's trying to demand that because he's Christian, he has the right to do so.
Yeah.
And he doesn't. And then when we say you don't, he says you're persecuting me. He plays that card, and then the argument shuts down because he just screams oppression and lays on his back. And, I have it worse than everybody in the U.S.
Exactly. The general persecution complex of Christians.
For those that don't know, which most of you probably do, Ken Ham is the CEO of Answers in Genesis. He runs the Creation Museum. He is a village idiot. And he wants to build a really big boat in the middle of Kentucky, where you would naturally build a boat. So my story with Ken starts in 2014 when he announced that he was going to debate Bill Nye, and I thought that was a really bad idea. And I reached out to the Dawkins Foundation and said, I kind of want to write a piece about why I think this is bad, the ramifications of it. So I did. Not really thinking it would be as big as it was. It kind of exploded, and Ken Ham took note. And his very first slide in the entire debate was this. And he tried to use it as evidence that we were scared. Not that we didn't want him to get notoriety and money, which he did. But he really wanted to kind of point out that, we're worried about it. But that sort of started a nice little relationship between me and him that no longer exists. Because he then announced, but then it kind of ramped up this project, which is his Ark Encounter. It seems weird to me that you would build a theme park based upon a genocide. It doesn't make much sense. I wonder if the boat will have a moat around it with floating bodies or anything like that. I do know it's full of the worst fake animals I've ever seen, because they blogged a few of the photos. They're not using any real live animals in there, thankfully, but the fake ones they are using are hilarious. I shouldn't call them animals, I should call them kinds, because that's what Ken calls them, because they, of course, didn't evolve, but you can't put every species of rhino on a boat. But building an ark this big isn't cheap. You need a lot of money. Something like $30 million he's asking for to build this thing. And when your beliefs are as fringe as Ken Ham's, which even in the creationist movement, his particular beliefs aren't that common. He's very fringe and he's very kind of on the outside. So he doesn't have that big of a donor base. So he's really struggling to raise the money he needs for this. And so it makes you think, what's the best way to raise money for a genocidal theme park? It's tax money. You ask the state to pay for it. And so he did that. They formed an LLC, the Ark Encounter, as a for-profit business, and then took advantage of something called this Kentucky Tourism Tax Incentive, where you can build like a theme park or the racetrack they built, and then you can apply to get a certain amount of money refunded to you on your sales tax. And it helps you expand and grow. And it's a great tourism aspect in the sense that you are now bringing lots of money in, so they're going to give you more money back so you can keep growing and bringing more money into the state. They got preliminarily approved for such a thing. and they got told they could have $18 million back. Originally, they were told they could have $73 million back, but they were never able to raise enough money to even drive a truck onto the land and break ground, so they lost that and had to scale the project down. But you have to prove to the state that you're worth it. So Ken had to come up with a plan. Here's how we're going to do it. So he hired his very best friend and co-author of 2 books that also owns a sort of surveying company to estimate how many people will come to the park a year. I don't know if you know much about the Creation Museum, but they get maybe 400,000 people a year on a really good year. It's usually pretty low, and they're financially in the red. How they stay open is beyond most people. Phil Ferguson, who's here, has done some really great reporting on that, so if you haven't looked it up, I would encourage you to do that. But his friend said, well, we envision 2 to 4 million people a year are going to want to travel to come see this big giant boat. That's not quite the case. Because the state had preliminarily approved this, they had to get full approval by having their own audit done. So they did, and they hired a place called Hunt & Strategic out of Chicago, who specializes in theme parks and big attractions, where this other place that Ken Ham hired specializes in strip malls and things like that. And I said, am I going to get through? Am I ever going to get on the air if I'm honest? And I said, if I lie and I get on, I just gave them ammo. You lied to us. Atheists are bad liars. They're terrible people. So I said, oh, my name's Dan Arel, and he's talking about me right now on the radio. And they said, please hold. So I waited for the click, and it didn't come. And all of a sudden, it's, hi, you're on the air with so-and-so and Ken Ham. And it was I should state, this was a conservative Christian talk radio show. So it wasn't like I had no one on my side. So I said, you know, you shouldn't get this money. You're taking, he kept arguing he wasn't taking money because it was a rebate from tax funds. And I was like, yeah, but it's $18 million. I can go to schools and roads and parks. He didn't see it that way. So I said, well, then why are you breaking the law by requiring people to sign a statement of faith when you're hiring? Ken Ham said, we're not hiring, and that's when the click came. And that's when they continued to talk about me for a few minutes when I was not on the other line. So I continued blogging, showing all the screenshots from the jobs that my friend had applied for, the screenshots from the job posting that clearly said, Arc Encounter CAD Designer. It's a little clear-cut. I screenshotted everything I had, and I sent it to Americans United. And they drafted a really awesome letter to Governor Steve Beshear in Kentucky, and sent it to him. And we didn't hear anything back. And we didn't expect to. We didn't know what was going to happen. Freedom from Religion got involved. Some other groups were kind of sending letters, and they got picked up a bit more by the national media. And then one day, this showed up. And I hope you can read it, but it says, to all our intolerant liberal friends, thank God you can't sink this ship. Well, number one, the ship is in Kentucky and it's landlocked. So I have a really hard time sinking it. But I kind of thought this was really kind of cocky of him, for really kind of sticking to us like this. But then it kind of made me feel good, because I remembered that I'm one guy. I make a fair living. He's rich. He's a CEO of a company, and I am taking up hours of his time. Almost like there was a God. Almost a couple days later, I got to write the best headline I think I've written to date. And that was this. The Governor Steve Beshear and the Tourism Tax Board reviewed the letter we sent them, and they actually did their work. And they said, number one, you cannot discriminate against employees based on their religious beliefs and then expect the state to give you money. You're breaking both federal and state laws. And they said, number two, they noticed throughout the entire website, Ken consistently referred to the Ark Encounter as a ministry, not as a theme park. And they said, you know what, we get you're building an ark. There's nothing secretive about this. But if you're going to call it a ministry and treat it like a church, you can't have tax money to do this. So I got this in my email from the kind folks at Americans United, and we posted this. We suck your battle. And so now Ken Ham believes today that he lost the tax incentive because suddenly, out of nowhere, the state realized the Ark Encounter was a religious park. I don't understand where he would think the state would ever be confused that the Ark Encounter, Noah's Ark, from the Bible, would possibly be anything but a religious attraction. And he has now since sued the state. It's gone to court. Americans United is trying to intervene. I'm doing everything I can to intervene. They've made their arguments. They're telling everybody that this is Christian persecution. This is the direction that the park is going. But he's defiant that the park will still be built. And I'm torn there because he's free to build a gigantic wooden boat if he pleases. I don't want people to go. I will campaign to make sure kids are. And he said, I hope Americans United takes care of that. And I didn't send that first tweet. And I didn't engage him. And I didn't gather information and send it to Americans United. He could be building an ark right now with $18 million of taxpayer money. And I want everyone to always think this way. When you see that your local city council is refusing to let humanists give secular invocations, speak up. Don't wait for somebody else to do it. And there's no target that's too big or too small. Don't be afraid of going after the giants. Ken Ham has way more money than I'm ever going to have. Look at the damage I did. Look at the time I took. I like to think of the little salary pieces of him I took away from telling kids about creationism, where he was angrily blogging about it. That's great. And I like to think of Ken Ham sitting in his office being mad at me. I love the idea. It makes me feel good. And don't think that if you email someone like Americans United that they're going to ignore you because they don't know your name. Because they won't. They care. These organizations really want to make a difference, and they're there to help you. So if you see a target that's too big for you, you think, email them. Reach out. Reach out to me. Reach out to other activists. Tell them there's a story somewhere, because we'll write about it. We care about this as well. I don't care if it's a story happening in your small town that I've never heard of. If I can bring you publicity and get something taken care of, I'm there. And I know that other writers that write on Patheos and for many other websites feel the same way. So that's kind of what I want to accomplish here.